The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, good Friday afternoon, going into the evening. It's the O&G Strike Zone with a special live edition here. I'm Brian Fulford, and that's Kelvin Rozier. Kelvin, how you doing Friday? How you doing, my man?
Man, it's the end of the work day. About the work week. I'm ecstatic, man. The weekend is here, baby.
The man let you go. He didn't beat you up too bad in the course of this week.
Man, I told him, man, I'm free. I'm Kunta.
Hey, look, I'm actually I gotta find something to do to keep busy, man. I can only break down so much fall football. I don't want to burn out too early, so I'm kind of trying to pace myself. But I know all these media days, football media days, are coming up, and I tell you, this week I probably watched more Netflix than I care to watch. Although I've watched some really good shows, watched some Amazon Prime. I'm just gassed. You know, I eat, sleep, nap. I'm getting old, man. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. I'm like on my father's schedule. My father does that. He eats, watches Netflix, naps, gets up, eat. I'm just like, oh my God.
You got to pick up a few more hobbies, man.
I do. I think I'm about to pick up like a painting class or something, man. I got to find something to do. So, but anyway, it's good to have you on. And look, we obviously, the title of the show, we got to instant reaction to the breaking news that came out Thursday, matter of fact, after our show. Obviously, you know, after our show, there was all kinds of breaking news. You had the article on the HBCU Game Day from AD Sykes. We could get into that if you care to. I got some thoughts. I had people calling me up about that. What else? There was something else that happened as well. Oh, you had the YouTube drop of the Coach McCullum presser that he did as well, which was. I mean, a lot of that stuff we had already talked to him. We knew, so that wasn't new for us. So, but we were surprised Friday morning, or no, Thursday morning, when the news came out that head women's basketball coach Shalon Pillow had decided to resign from.
Well, we actually had the scoop though, before it was announced to the world.
We probably did. We had to. I think we chose. Look, we always want to side on the get it right before we just run out there, running outside the house saying, "Hey, so and so's not. So and so's this." We've been burned on that before because we've had a scoop that we sat on purposely, and we were told that, hey, we'll let you know when this happens. So we said, okay, we'll sit back on it. And then the news breaks, and then it's like, oh yes, X, Y. And it's like, you know what? Okay. So this is, I don't know if this is strike 2 or this is the episode, or this is number 2, but it's look, here's what the boss says. The boss, of course, the boss always says, be right, not first. So that's the motto of the Black College Sports Network. Be right, not first. But I tell you what, man, we should have been first on this one.
I totally agree, and boss man, sometimes I have some inside information, and I leave that right there.
Yeah. So okay. So the news that comes out, and it's funny. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the time of the release. So I wonder whether, had we not inquired the way we did, I wonder if the news would have come out when it did. Like, had nobody had said anything to certain people, would it have still come out? Were they going to wait until later? But that's speculation. I don't know. But the news comes out, and Coach Pillow, after 3 years and 2 seasons, decides to step away. And obviously, her quote in the article, I'm very thankful for the opportunity to lead the women's program over the last 3 years. I'm more grateful to have the opportunity working with the young women on the team and be part of the development on and off the court. Obviously, Coach Pillow's record, we can't hide what it was. All right. The Rattlers were 4-14, and SWAC played in both seasons, which is disappointing, to say the least. I think the record was, if I saw it correctly, 9-48 overall, which that's pretty depressing. But it is what it is, and so let's see. 80 Sykes jumps in with a quote thanking Pillow for her time and wishes her the best, and she says that her focus is on supporting the student athletes that have come onto campus or agreed to play for the university, as it should, okay, and try to make this seamless transition what it is. So a lot of folks rejoiced is the word, or more so were, woo, it's about time, or, oh, this should have happened a long time ago. Well, I personally am thinking that if Coach Pillow is leap now, she has a year left on her contract. So again, 80 Sykes was not in the position of letting her go. Although Pillow had an uphill climb, obviously. She had to fill 2 new assistant spots, at least 2. And she probably we talked to her, she was having to practically rebuild the team after, what was it, 9 departures? Something like that?
Yeah, with about 3 that she was counting on would return for COVID year. Yeah.
So she thought it would only be 6, turned out to be 9. So that was a challenge. So that was an uphill challenge. But you got to think, if you're leaving a year on and you're making, as it was reported, I think I saw in the blog Rattler Nation that she's got a salary of about $100K, that there's probably another opportunity for her somewhere. I won't be surprised come mid-August to see that Coach Pillow, who had, again, 15 years of assistant coaching experience, 4 different programs, she knows a lot of people. I won't be surprised if there's an opportunity somewhere waiting on her in August or even September. Okay. Question is, why now? Why leave now? That's a big question, and I firmly believe, Kelvin. We've heard AD Sykes talk about a lot of things, and I think not having to hire. Remember, she came in with what she thought was going to be a lot of stable positions, and now look, what is she having to deal with? She's got to hire not only a new head women's coach. She already had to hire a new bowling coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the main 2 head coaching positions, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we knew,
but the athletic trainer position,
athletic trainer.
Yeah.
So basically 3 positions that she probably you're probably not counting on having to move away from or move coaches away from, right? So we want to find out, or we're going to look at and say, okay, why did that happen? But I maintain, look, and I know I'll say this. I have no problem with people taking me to task with anything that I tweet or say. That's the nature of what we do, right, Kelvin?
That's right.
Look, hey, we
give it, you got to take it sometimes.
Exactly. I have no problem if I love the debate. I mean, whether you think I'm right or wrong, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you tuning in. If my tweet inspires a 2-hour show about FAMU women's basketball, hey, that's great for FAMU women's basketball. Right. I'm just saying, I love you, Scotty. But I mean, if my tweet inspires a 2-hour show, hey, that's great. Okay? I love it. So I love the debate. But let me just go to see it. Kelvin, the thing that gets me, right, is I get criticized. I get hit on for the fact that I don't even. What's the tweet? Where's the tweet? Let me pull up the tweet. If I can pull up the reply. I don't even know if I can get to it fast enough. I thought I had it ready. But I mentioned something about how winning is hard, and we can crack jokes all day. Let me see. Hold on. Here it is. I got it right here. So, as he's preparing to do the show, everyone saying, "Oh, she should have been gone a year ago. She should have been gone." Blah blah blah. I'm like, hiring a new coach, especially with one under contract, wasn't on the priority list for Sykes. Other things took precedent. We can make light of the situation, but there probably hasn't been a coach in Division I that has had to deal with more challenges than Pillow. Winning is hard. I don't shy away from that at all. Okay? And look, I'll stand behind having been in the coaching box on the coaching bench for 25 years and talked to a lot of coaches. And one of the things that I want to pull this tweet up, Kelvin, if you allow me here, because I think it's real important. And I point out some real interesting things about the Shalon Pillow era. I don't want to call it an error, although some people might.
Freudian slip there.
Yeah, Freudian slip. Okay. Okay. So here we go. My original tweet, right? Now, this didn't get called out, but anyway. Find a coach that had the tougher circumstances than Coach Pillow over the past 3 seasons. Now, even though in the tweet I said from her team quitting on her in year 1, and that got a few responses from some former women's basketball players. So the term quitting on that season has been, we could debate that all you want, but if former players feel some kind of way about that, okay, we can discuss that. But whatever happened, that as it was reported that the team chose to not play that season. Do you confirm that information, Kelvin? What was reported or put out there?
You mean the COVID year, the 2021 year?
The COVID year, yes.
I don't I do not know that to be the case. I think that was more of an administrative decision than it was the team. The team might have had a lean one way or the other, but ultimately that would have been a athletic administration and university decision.
Well, but see, remember that year the NCAA was giving teams the option. They were telling student athletes, if you don't want to play this season because you don't feel uncomfortable, you certainly can, and we will still honor your year of eligibility. That's why the extra COVID year started happening, because I think the only teams that started, and I'm using the word quit, my word, but whatever you want to use.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case though, Brian, because there was other sports because of COVID that didn't play that season too, and that had nothing to do with folks not wanting to play. The university kind of made a decision on that.
But there were men's sports that played. Men's basketball played that year.
Yeah, but there were women's sports, and there was actually men's sports that didn't play also.
Where, at FAMU?
Yeah.
Who? I mean, I know. I'm trying to.
You mean the COVID year?
Yeah, I'm talking the 2020 year, the going into the fall of 2020. And my recollection could be off, but I'm pretty sure, if I recall how all that went down, was across the country, most of the teams that chose not to play, and maybe that's a better way of saying it, were women's teams. I don't recall too many men's teams that chose to play. Now, there may have been a men's team that was shelved because of stuff, which I did think happened that year. And so I'm just pointing out that was a challenge for her, because that having to come in, and then you had the whole COVID thing happen, and they were still going through the protocols. They were preparing for their season, the preseason, and then the news about them not playing happened the week of their first game of the season. So big picture, that's what I'm saying is the tough challenge. And so that team was shelved. That season was put on the shelf. Then you had to come back the next year and practically rebuild because of player departures, things of that nature. Whether she ran them off or they left on their own, you had to basically rebuild. And that's where you saw people like Dylan Horton come in. She had to go out and recruit a lot of players. Okay. You had the depleted roster in year 3 that ended in injuries. You know, I've been talking to people, the team, there were injuries that happened at the end of year 3. You had the assistants departing at the end of year 3. You've got the budget and resource issues that she's been dealing with. And one final thing, and then I'll get out of the way and let you jump in here. She was hired by one athletic director who obviously had a confidence in her and maybe a plan, but sometimes plans go astray. Things happen. Guess what? He was no longer there. Then you had Michael Smith come in. Then you had Tiffany Dawn Sykes. So she had 3 athletic directors in 3 years. So when I say, hey, what comes, the challenges that she had to deal with, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That makes it hard to win. That makes it hard to win. It does. And it's exactly why I have so much admiration for Coach Willie Simmons and all the stuff he had to deal with last year, because those are major distractions. And we saw how that affected the start of our season, but they put it all together, found a way to persevere, and ended up having a 9-win season. I'll get out the way. Your thoughts, Kelvin.
So I'm not sure which specific season you're talking about when you say quit, but I would tell you that the football team didn't play the 20 season either. It was a 21 season in OBC when we came back and played. We didn't play a spring season either, and that was not. And that was not a school year. Yeah, so football didn't play that year.
Football didn't play in the fall. Right.
And
but they were but it was going to be a spring season. Remember there was
they didn't play.
They didn't play.
But they didn't play. They opted out of that too, and it wasn't them. It was an administration decision. there was some also some spring sports that had the same thing happen to them. So again, I don't think that particular season had anything to do with the young ladies. All right, that was a university decision at the end of the day. Now, in terms of coach, let me first just say she did represent herself and the university in a respectful, professional manner.
True.
She didn't get into any scandals or anything. She didn't have the success that she needed to have either, and that's kind of side I'm on. I ain't for too many excuses. And in terms of her having a difficult path, well, I mean, everybody was dealing with COVID, so I can't give her a pass. Every program in the country was dealing with COVID. She got hired by a AD, and her every season but last season that AD was in place, including the COVID season. So I would think for a new coach to have a whole year where you aren't playing, that you could assemble a team that could win more than 3 games your first year. Also, another issue she had was she kept having coaches leaving. She also had players every year leave, right? That had, so if it's just one thing, then I can kind of roll with you.
But are you saying that's on her?
But
are you
yeah,
saying
all
that's
that's on, absolutely. The
Okay.
other programs didn't have that. Absolutely,
Okay.
athletes weren't leaving. Coaches weren't leaving. I mean, look at volleyball. I'm just saying, man.
Well, I mean, when you're
I
winning,
hear you. I'm not
everybody
hey,
sticks around when you're winning.
I will agree with you that winning is difficult. That part, I mean, if it was easy, a lot of people be walking around with championship rings. It's not easy. I agree with that. But that's why you hire your coaches. And the good ones, you mentioned Willie Simmons, the really good coaches, they find a way to be successful in spite of, right? You talk about injuries that she had. I mean, that's with every sport. You're going to have injuries. I mean, who's to say that the way she practiced didn't contribute to her injury problems? Because she had injuries with the big people every year. Now, the COVID issues she dealt with that first year, may not have directly been on her. But the thing was, they struggled with that situation the entire season, while other sports did not. So you still, you wonder practice schedules, who you take, who you didn't take, isolation protocols, that kind of stuff. Could there have been other decisions that would have minimized that a little bit? But at the end of the day, she had 3 years.
2 seasons.
Yeah, but 3 seasons. But I'm counting the year that she had where she didn't have to do anything but put her roster together and get her style of play. And I'll just say this, I'm just being frank. As someone who's a season ticket holder and watch many of those games, I'd rather watch high school ball than what I was seeing. And I would even venture to say TCC and some of the high school teams might have beat some of her teams. All right. So at the end of the day, she's responsible for her program. Her program won 9 games. It ain't a whole lot of discussion with that.
No, you can't.
You didn't. The results aren't there.
Which is why I don't think. Look, okay, we talk about players and injuries, right? As and I've talked to people in the program. You had a situation this year where, let's just say, what we have 5. I'm gonna draw the parallel with our quarterbacks at FAMU. We got how many quarterbacks in the QB room now? 5, 4. God forbid, knock on wood here, if something were to happen and in a game, which has happened in some places, other places, where 1, 2, 3, 4 go down in a game, or maybe a game in practice. Well, and then you end up having to go to QB5, who's probably a receiver or a DB or running back. You know what I'm saying? And that person has to come in and become the quarterback. Well, the basketball team was dealing with something similar to that in terms of losing point guards, and one of the more important positions on a 5-man basketball roster is the point guard. So when you are down now, regardless of why, okay, I mean, and we can psychoanalyze the whys, but they were gone. They were injured. The 1, 2, 3, and then all of a sudden you go to the emergency guard, who you're not really you're hoping that you never have to go to her, but you end up having to go to her in a game. And we saw what happened. It looked horrible. I'm not going to mention the player or the name or the game, but if you know, you can probably figure it out on your own. It was a home game. Okay. And the number of turnovers, but that girl was playing out of position. So things like that happened. Things like players all of a sudden deciding that, you know what, I'm just lost my love of basketball. Now, why? Maybe the practices were tough. I don't know. Maybe she just had a change of heart. That kind of stuff happens. It happens all across the country. It happens in every athletic program. Okay. But, and I'm just talking about the obstacles that you grow from, and everything has been a learned process. And she even told us, like when we talked to her, right? We talked about staff management and roster management. And she's learning things on the fly. Now, I know that's a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people don't want to hear, how are you learning well, I mean, look, we're all learning. Everybody, look, even Coach McCullum has said he's had to learn how to work the whole transfer portal thing, things that you probably don't anticipate coming into your life as a coach. But guess what? It becomes a thing. You got to learn how to deal with it and work with it. We can talk about the results and X's and O's on the court, but with basketball, though, you gotta have the right people in order to be able to execute. And
that's any sport. That's any sport.
It's any sport. Yes. But
and your roster. I mean, nobody prevented her from going out and recruiting. We had on the show early on and several times afterwards, and a lot of people took some of the things she said and it was like, I don't know how successful she's gonna be with that mentality. We talked about recruiting and where you're recruiting from, and the talent level and the acumen of folks that were bringing versus being more regional. And then we talked, and then there were some kids that you brought in that had pre-existing injuries and so forth. Maybe not was in the best condition. But those are all things that this coach is responsible for. They're responsible for roster management. Right. Well, and so in that point, I'm just saying she wasn't here to do nothing but coach basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day,
build a program.
In her window of time, there was really no growth because she had no stability. She couldn't keep coaches. She couldn't keep players. That's on her, in my opinion.
You don't see. Okay, that's interesting. You're putting all that on her. 100% of that on her.
It's her program. She's the head coach. She's the captain of the ship.
Okay.
Who else I'm gonna put it on?
Well, our athletic administration doesn't hold any bearer of. We've talked about
what didn't they do
talked about
for her that they didn't do for others.
Well, they talked about access to equipment, access to training equipment, access to the facility. That's been talked about by both coaches.
Right.
I mean,
including and volleyball, who use that same facility, but they got championship rings though.
Fair. No injuries. No injuries in those championship teams, though. I want that clearly noted for the record. We didn't have any significant injuries from any of our 3 championship teams. Had no significant injuries at all.
Even with our non-championship teams, we really didn't have any injuries, man.
Except for women's basketball.
Except for women's basketball. I don't know why, but that's
I don't know
my
either.
point. That's my point.
So look, and again, I'm just gonna say this. I enjoyed Coach Pillow, always good
Yeah.
conversations. I love how she handled everything with a smile.
Yeah.
I know it's incredibly
Absolutely.
tough. I hope to have an offline conversation with her and just kind of pick her brain about the process and what she, because I'm sorry, man. You can't tell me that someone with 15 years experience is walking in blind as if they had, been coaching JV basketball at the local high school and then coached a year or two of high school and then all of a sudden became. No, I mean, here's a woman who had connections, who had watched it be done, who was a part of a championship program. So there's 20 years almost of how to do it, and it's sometimes when you spend that time in the number 2 chair and the number 3 chair, hey, now it's your time to be in the 1 chair, to be that person that's standing up on the sideline. Man, that is, it's tough. It's tough. So I'm just going.
Not everybody, not everybody capable of stepping into 1 chair. Sometimes people
No.
are number. Sometimes people are they talent and what they value is at 2 or 3.
Right. And what if just it's hard to say, but what if she was actually about to get it right? We've seen
Hold on. Let me stop this conversation right now. She has no coaches right now, but her. She had lost 3 players that she was hoping would return, that could have returned and played for her. She brought in a whole new 8, 9 players.
Yeah.
And what you trying to say now? What she was finna do?
Hey, you remember where Bill Belichick was before he got to New England, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm just saying.
She may go on to the next place.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe
be great.
Maybe for her we were Cleveland.
Maybe. Okay. We'll leave it there before I get in trouble and have more people shouting at me on social media. So what is this program? Is the next question, Kelvin, because
it's scary.
It's scary. Look,
the timing, Brian, it couldn't be worse for several reasons. Now, I'm from the administration standpoint. I'm gonna come at you, right?
Okay.
So right now, this is the beginning of the fiscal year. Generally, at the end of the year, there's no money to roll over. There's no money that from the previous year to cover expenses in the athletic department. And this early in the year, you haven't really generated revenue typically. So basically there is no budget, very little budget there. And then on top of that, because you had 2 assistant coaches leave, now she's leaving, you have to do a payout for their leave time, the annual and sick leave and some of those benefits. And that money comes off the lines that are vacating or being vacated. So typically, I said on Wednesday's show, that process can be up to 2 months because you have to get that rate off the line that they're on. So and in this case, we just got, like, as we talked about, 8 or 9 new players coming in. They're on campus, some of them. Yep. So now there's no direction there. So it's just a tough deal for the university and VP Sykes at this point to try to keep it all together, and to bring in a quality person this late in the game, this close to the season, having to bring in a whole entire staff.
Yes, that's tough.
I will hope there's some money from somewhere where that process can be expedited and it's not delayed, because I think that will really set us back even more for this upcoming year. And I would understand if some student athletes look to go elsewhere. So it's important that we be able to move pretty fast on this. And typically that's not how this works at HBCUs.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you bring up a couple of good things about students leaving. I'm like, hey, look, if a lot of students may not have the choice to go somewhere, like I know, I'm just going to parallel it to West Virginia men's basketball coach Bob Huggins. He recently had an issue. He resigned. Those players that were 4-star, 5-star guys, guess what? They can jump in the portal and people will all of a sudden, oh, oh, I need to go get that. They're like, oh, I can move some things around. I can make a change of plans real quick to go after a guy with that talent. We don't have any 4 or 5-star. I don't think there's any 3-star young ladies that are coming in. And so if they're here, they may have to stay here. And whoever the coach is may have to just play for whoever that is. They may not have an option, because the worst thing that you could do is jump in the portal and not get chosen by someone else, because that's what it is. It's saying, hey, I'm going to put myself out there and somebody else has to choose me. So unless one of those schools that they were considering along with FAMU all of a sudden still has a spot, that might be their only, but even those spots may be gone. So those student athletes, that's a tough decision for those young ladies and those families. So yeah, the emphasis of hiring whoever it is so important for AD Sykes.
Mm-hmm.
What about the budget? What about the monies? I mean, obviously the word is that she was $100,000 contract. I'm assuming that would have kicked in at the beginning of July 1. And then you obviously had a budget for 2 assistant coaches that's sitting out there unused. I mean, so I'm just going to guesstimate here. Don't hold me to this. I'm going to say maybe there's about $200,000 in coaching salaries that's available, more or less. Is that going to be enough? You're hopeful to get a coach and a couple assistant coaches at a very low reduced rate. Is that how that works?
I mean, you got a nice facility.
Yes.
The expectations are low. You following, you following a 3-win season and a 6-win season.
Mm-hmm.
And the FAMU brand still carries a lot of weight. I would tell you, I've got some inquiries already from actually folks who have some pretty good credentials. So I think the interest in the pool will be there and can be there. I think people want to see the process though, and make sure there's no shenanigans going on.
Oh my God! If I hear it, I swear,
I don't want a 16-person committee.
If I hear a committee, Kelvin, I will go 8S. There better not be no damn committee for this position. Just let AD Sykes find somebody for this, and please,
my agreed.
God, let's pray. Let's all pray that there's no search committee for this position. Please.
Yeah. If there was ever a time to do a waiver for that process, which we did do a couple of times when Courtney was here, this is a time where we need to make sure we waive that whole process and let the AD do a thing.
So let me ask this. Let me go to what type of coach and what this is, because I've had some interesting discussions on social about this, and I believe this right now. This is the kind of position, because the question is who's next? Who would want this job? And I don't know. Jokingly, some people will say nobody wants the job, and but I think, as you just pointed out, there is if you are, I'm just going to say what's the ideal candidate. Okay. To me, the ideal candidate that would want to apply for this job is somebody who's had a high level success as a varsity high school basketball coach in a program where they have had major Division I talent go off to college. Because what that tells me is you have to interact with coaches. There's an interaction level there with coaches and connection. You have connections with college coaches. You're sort of in that community in the recruiting process. Okay. Maybe even having ties to a high level AAU or grassroots club program is also part of that. I would also say, and people will say, no, I don't want another assistant coach. But if you have an assistant coach who is at a college right now, and they've been there for several years, maybe they're the number 1 person or the 2 or the major recruiting person for that program, I think that could be an attractive coach. I also think somebody at the maybe Division II or NAIA level is an attractive coach because there's good basketball at the D2 and NAIA levels. I've watched it.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it. We've seen it. There is good coaching, and a lot of those coaches end up recruiting players who were once Division I players. And the most successful D2 and NAIA programs usually have some Division I talent on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we start throwing out names here of, hey, who are potential people that you guys like, that's what's going to be most attractive. You want someone with head coach who's, put it like this. I don't think anybody that's in, I got to be careful how I say this. I don't think anybody who's in a Division I position today, especially within the conference, is leaving that position for FAMU.
Okay. I know what you're saying. I believe some coaches would now. The one coach you probably referencing probably wouldn't, but Pine Bluff, some of those other places, I believe their coaches would leave. But to your question, I'm gonna answer it kind of given the history levels. We've done the high school route before at FAMU. We did it with Claudette Farmer, who came from Rickers High. She did a really good job. Had some of our best years.
Yes.
We did it with LaDon Gibson.
Started well.
And she had some really good years early, right? Yep. Some of our best, records. We've also done it where we went with people who had been head coaches at other HBCUs. A lot of those didn't go so well. We've had some folks who had just assistant experience. A lot of that didn't go well. What I would say is this. What I would like to see is a winner, first of all. Okay. So, like you,
regardless of the level.
If it's a high school coach who done won at the high level for like 10 years, then they can come in, especially if they would been in this region or within this state. And because I trust them to be able to. Coaches know winners, and coaches send players to other coaches who are winners, and where their kids can get developed. So I'm comfortable, frankly, with a top level high school coach. I'm also comfortable with a junior college or D2 coach.
I forgot to mention
that's typically a stepping stone. And there's one particular junior college coach who won a national championship, who's at a D1 program, I think a group of 5 program, as a top assistant right now, that I really would love. I know they was interested and wanted a job when Pillow got the job. I don't know now, but highly successful coach at like I say, won a national championship at the junior college level. So I would be good with that. And then I also like and am interested in former WNBA players who've done coaching.
Yes.
And has won.
Yes.
And I'm aware of at least one candidate that fits that bill. But the key to no matter what level they coached at, they come in as winners, as coaches. Yes. And as head coaches. I'm not really for the assistant coach thing, somebody who's never been a head coach on any level. Now, if they assistant and they've been a head coach at one of those levels we talked about, then that's different. And the reason why I say that is because, and I go back to your own words, winning is hard, number one. And then winning at FAMU and working within, what you have to work with. You have to want to be here. You really have to want to be here. You have to love it. And you have to expose yourself to Rattler Nation and be humble enough to to let comments roll off you that are not applicable, but develop relationships, frankly, with the junior college circuit and the high school circuits and around the state. I just think in this last particular case, and I stick with this, and I brought it up several times. I just thought our recruiting philosophy wouldn't be successful, and the record shows that.
Yeah. Hey, you turned out to be correct. And so it is what it is. I'm not gonna make any more excuses. So for those of you who hate the fact that you feel like I'm sticking up for Coach Pillow and that you're tired of me making excuses. All right, I'm not making no more excuses. It's done. It's done. So we move forward. Let's talk. Let's mention some of these names because you guys out there watching us, listening to the chat, a lot of people are talking names. And we can kind of mention the merits and pros and cons because hopefully all these individuals will put their name in the hat, and this is going to be the hard part for AD Sykes. And I'm gonna tell you, this is why I'm gonna tell you why there's a search committee, Kelvin, and just in case you know, because this is hard. Because again, basketball is one of your top sports. It's one of your top women's sports, right? So I mean, this is the sport that sort of gets on, if not page 1, page 2. On a good day when the program is winning, it's on page 1. Okay, when it's not, it's on page 2, but it's still on the first 2 pages of the paper, so to speak. So this is a program that you have to find a good fit and the right person. And so I have seen various names. Let's talk elephant in the room. Okay, big first name that comes up is right across the street from FAMU, over at FAMU DRS, Coach Cromartie. I will say this because I've heard people say, and I love the people who said it. I completely disagree with the thought that, oh, I'd like to see her be an assistant coach, blah, blah, blah. Nah, to hell with that. I think Coach Cromartie could coach this team, could coach this program. Now, we had these discussions a couple years ago where I may have wondered, but we've talked with Coach Cromartie. I've had a chance to get to know a little bit of her. My thought process has changed. I think she is in touch with our community and would be a great fit for FAMU women's basketball. Someone who's young enough to relate to our young student athletes, our young women, and also would, I think, be around for a decade plus. I really do. So that is a name that is very attractive, and
you got to say winner. I mean, she got what? She got like 5 state titles, 10 out of the last 12 years or whatever it was. She done been in the Final Four.
She understands how hard it is.
She sent players to the WNBA as well as D1 programs. So she has relationships with coaches at the college level too, and the pro level. I mean, she posted pictures today of her and Dawn Staley. So I mean, she's connected. She's connected. Everybody know her in the women's basketball circle. So that's why I agree with you. She's a winner. She's done it, and she has a bunch of relationships that I'm sure she can lean on.
And there is an advantage for her being here and so close. Where, remember, I told you I kind of chuckled a little bit when I saw the picture of AD Sykes with her back in, hell, this might have been late January. I was like, uh-oh. I said, AD Sykes already doing some scouting. I said, but look.
Given our circumstances, that could be. You just brought up something that there's other good candidates, if we want to go that route. So, but one of the advantages with Coach Cromartie would be, I mean, she's here. She's in Tallahassee. She's on campus already. She could start really quick.
Really quick. So the amount of turnover and the amount of time of getting acclimated would be very low. Let me give you another name, and this is also another high school coach, but this is a FAMU women's basketball legend, a Hall of Famer. And I think I'm going to give out to Ty Floyd. I'm going to give out, I think Ty dropped this in the comments. Antonia Bennett, who has been the head coach at Lake Gibson High School for, I think, the last 8 years or so. FAMU Hall of Famer. Talk about somebody who loves FAMU women's basketball, and has had a high level of success at Lake Gibson High School. I mean, that's another name that, and I don't know how many other former high school coaches are still out there. I don't know what's floating around. I saw some people mention Claudette Farmer. She's athletic director at Rickards High School. She coached the women's program from 90 to 01, from 1990 to 2001. So in the 90s, when I was on the yard, when we were on the yard, I mean, so she was the head coach. I don't know if she would want to get back on the sidelines, but she's there. She's in the community. We can't say she don't know how to coach. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
let me give you a name that I'm gonna give you a name that I was Francois Bedell.
Okay.
He was at TCC 2 or 3 years ago when they won a national championship, junior college championship. And now he's at Missouri State as the assistant head coach in women's basketball. So I know that he was very interested, like I say, the last time. And he will be an ideal coach. He knows the area. He was here. He knows the junior college circuit here too. Mm-hmm. And he's a championship head coach.
Okay.
He finished his 6-year stint at TCC with a record of 124 wins and 62 losses, and coached a pair of first-team All-Americans.
Okay.
So.
All right. Bull, I'm putting my resume is in the process. It's being worked on, LinkedIn and everything. I got to do some updating, but yes, don't laugh. I might as well put my name in the hat. Hell, the worst thing she could say is no. So
hey, there's a former WNBA player.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. So we start talking about the next level. How about Yolanda Moore? 2-time WNBA champion, former head coach at Clark Atlanta, where she turned around let's just say a losing program at Clark. I was almost going to say something else, but I want to be respectful. It was a losing program and turned it into a championship contender in a very short time period. I mean, like really short period.
Yeah.
And I do know that she too was very interested in this position back in 2020. So that is a name to keep. And look, that is a name that resonates when you talk about celebrity high. Sort of that whole, I hate to say it like that, but the famous, well-known, who would be someone famous and well-known who might, look, who better than somebody that's been a 2-time WNBA champion? Because all of a sudden, what that's going to start to do is within the WNBA, NBA, ESPN circle, it's going to all of a sudden, newsflash, 2-time WNBA champion moves to FAMU. Oh, wow. I mean, so we talk about building the program in new ways, new and exciting ways. That's a name that's right there in front of everybody.
Hey, is Tuskegee women's coach still at Tuskegee?
No. Unfortunately, Trelane Powell, excuse me. She had just took a job. So I wish Drew was watching because he would know, but she just left for another position. I think Southern Miss was the school. She just took that job in April, if I want to say correctly. So that's interesting there. I know Scotty's on on UAPB's coach. Her name escapes me right at the moment. If you hold on, who's the UAPB coach? And I was listening as I was watching the show the other day. Dawn Thornton. So I know Coach Thornton. A lot of people were mentioning the fact that Coach Thornton's husband coaches at Grambling, and I don't know. Look, I don't know how all of these. I don't know how these relationships work. I'm not going to speculate, but I would imagine that might be kind of hard in being in Grambling or being at Grambling, being at FAMU. That's tough for any family. Okay, I recall the former Tennessee State head women's basketball coach. Her husband eventually became the head coach at Marshall. She left. She was very successful at Tennessee State. And I forgot where he was an assistant. I think he was an assistant at Alabama. Hey, guess what? She left Tennessee State, and he got a new head coaching job the year afterwards. He was at Alabama, and then he got a head coaching job at Marshall, and they moved. So, I mean, things like that happen, right? With family decisions. That's a tough one. So, I mean, it's great if, I know a lot of folks say, I see Dr. Lori here jumping in. Good to see you, Doc. Saying that, she's heard that the UAPB women's coach, and that's Coach Thornton. Well, okay. I mean, but what's that going to come with? What I would imagine she's probably making a little bit more than Coach Pillow.
I wouldn't think so. I doubt that.
Well, wow. Well, if not, then But are y'all? But if look, is FAMU, are y'all ready for that though? I'm gonna be real with you. Are y'all ready for that? I'm just gonna keep it buck. I mean, are y'all
ready for what?
Okay, I'm not
ready to win. What's the question?
Ready to win. Ready to win. Okay,
I mean,
okay.
Yeah. Basketball is the one area where we can greatly increase our revenue streams if we have winning programs. There's an opportunity. Plus, don't forget, we still got the Pac-12 challenge where, we playing those Pac-12 schools hosting this year.
Oh, wow. Keith, very funny. Ridiculous. Tamika Reed, I've seen people post that. Look, hey, as much as I would,
she from Jackson.
Look, that's the first thing.
She went to school with the AD. She knows
that's a lot of hurdles. That's a lot of hurdles to overcome.
Yeah, that's a wish.
And it would take a lot.
I would love it. I would love it. Now, don't get me wrong, but I don't. Yeah, that's a wish there. I don't see
a lot of promises financially. I think would have to happen before you see Coach Reed potentially. But hey, I mean, hell, you can ask, or somebody could ask through back channels. It never hurts to ask, right? All the worst thing they can do is say no.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me give you another name that I've seen a lot. It's a Tallahassee guy.
Yes.
Coach Chris Ayers.
Yes, sir.
Ole Miss assistant. What's his background in Tallahassee?
He went to the high, played football actually.
Okay.
And he went to FAM. He graduated from FAMU. He's a FAMU grad. But he's the head assistant and lead recruiter at Ole Miss.
Yes.
Which was a tournament team. And
Sweet 16, I think, this first year.
Yes. Made a lot of noise in the SEC. He's worked his way up through the old-fashioned way. He's known as an awesome recruiter. We know he loves FAMU. Tallahassee's home for him. So, I mean, he's another one that, if interested, would definitely should get strong consideration.
Does he have prior head coaching experience?
He does not have prior head coaching experience.
Okay.
But everywhere he's been very successful and a winner. He's on a fast track, honestly. I would imagine that he will probably get a head coaching position within the next year or two, if not sooner. He's done everything else.
It's a question of
he's a young guy, you know.
And see, that's what I say. What is FAMU to somebody? FAMU, let's just be real. We are a mid-major program in the eyes of college basketball. A lot of you have and very valid. I'm not poo-pooing them. You have delusions of grandeur about what FAMU is in the basketball world. Okay. It's not what you think it is. It could be, and that's the thing. We all see what it could be, but let's just say it is not currently, and has not been for several years. So you have to be cautious about somebody who, as you just said, could be a rising star at the highest levels of college basketball. And it's almost like what Coach Pillow did, which is, after being 15 years an assistant, somebody told her, hey, you need to go be a Division I coach at a mid-major program so that you can get your feet wet. You can get your head kicked in, get your feet wet. You know what? Here's what's funny. You remember, I'm going to give you a name. I go back to how hard it is to win, right? You remember the former coach at Virginia Union. I was just looking her name up. I think it's Anne Marie. Is it
you're
Gilbert?
Talking about.
Yeah. Is it Gilbert? Let me look. I was just looking her up a second ago because I wanted to draw this connection. Yeah, Anne Marie Gilbert. Okay, she's now an assistant coach at Winthrop, but she was at Virginia Union, and for about 5 to 6 seasons, Virginia Union was one of the top programs in the CIAA. And I think they had just finished having one of their most successful seasons in a long time under her as the head coach. Well, she took a job to go be at University of Detroit Mercy and thought she could turn around that program. Well, this was the same time we hired Coach Pillow, matter of fact, 2020. Her tenure lasted maybe a season and a half after allegations that, she was there were harassment allegations and other things like that filed by players and players' parents, and tough practices, mental stress on the players, and it just the investigation turned out to go in her favor, but she ended up resigning mid-season. But I went back and looked, and I'm reading the articles, and I'm thinking, man, here's a coach who was successful at an HBCU for 5-6 seasons. I bet her style of coaching did not all of a sudden change when she got to Detroit Mercy. So what changed? Maybe it was the caliber of players. Maybe it was the environment that those players were in. But I bet you one thing that didn't change was her style, because she is who she is. She didn't go to Detroit Mercy and all of a sudden just become a hard-nosed coach that yelled at players and made them feel uncomfortable. I mean, I don't think that's what happened. I'm pretty sure if she was a hard-nosed coach and had high expectations and demanded a lot, I bet that's who she was at Virginia Union. So all that to say is, winning is hard. And there's a lot of good coaches out there that they're successful in one place, they get somewhere else, they stumble, they have bad seasons, bad recruiting classes, and all of a sudden you got a scandal on your hands and you're having to leave just to get out of there before your name gets dragged through the mud as the program and the ship is sinking. So I don't know. Just that's that name came up because trust me, I was searching for her Kelvin, and then I saw all the reports, and I was like, ooh, I don't think that's tough. That might be a tough one to get over, but she's a winner, proven winner,
Yeah,
championship winner
as a head coach, right?
as a head coach,
As
as a
a
head coach
HB, as a HB at a
at an
HBCU
HBCU.
with low
Yes,
resources. By the
yes.
way, Chris Ayers, you mentioned, about the AAU circuit. He did lead a couple of AAU teams to championships as a coach.
Okay. Well, I'm feeling better because I got an AAU championship under my belt too.
Congratulations,
I'm
Brian.
just
Let me Google Brian.
No. Don't Google me. No. I don't want to be on anybody's show talking about I'm capping for the next coach. No, don't put me out there. I've had enough for the week. I'm good. How about another name that I've seen? Jesse Tom. This is the head coach over at University of Tampa, who Division II Tampa, a part of the Sunshine Conference. Tampa was like the #1 team in the country this past year. Coach Tom, it's a white guy, so I don't know. Obviously we've had white head coaches at FAMU, so that's nothing new. And I don't know. I don't know about that one. I've been over there and seen what they got over there at Tampa.
Very nice facilities.
Very, very nice for a private D2 school.
Are they even D2?
No, they're still. Well, you might not know it. They look better than a D2.
Yeah. No, I've been
some nice
there.
facilities over there, man.
Yes, I've been there. Yeah, it's very, very nice.
Yeah, it might be some dollars. Maybe again, the attractive part is if you see the contract and you see what Coach Pillow was making, and you might be making 25, 10, 15 less than that. Yeah, FAMU all of a sudden becomes real attractive if you can get what Pillow was getting, and then you're coming up saying, "Oh well, hell, I'm a better coach than that." And I get, it's a come up. So who knows? I don't know. Well, another name. Let me get another name that I saw somebody post. Head coach at Lincoln, PA, Janice Washington. Now, she has just been a head coach at Lincoln since the 21-22 season, but she did have some years at Daytona State. I think that's what they call it, Daytona State College over there, where we actually just recruited 2 or 3 young ladies from Daytona State, by the way. Just putting that out there. So I don't, obviously that's a reach, but then again, you talk about CIAA ties, which, you guys got to be careful about drawing just because AD Sykes graduated from the CIAA, did 6 years at Virginia Union. Well, combined 6 years at Virginia Union and Shalon, both in the CIAA. Let's not get tied to the whole CIAA thing with her. Okay. There's other places she's been to, she's been to Grambling, been to Norfolk State. So I know a lot of people jump to the whole CIAA thing, but let's slow down with that. Any other names you want to kind of throw out there? I'm looking in the message boards to see if anybody else knows any other names.
I think we've kind of gave a good nucleus of potential candidates, and I actually like pretty much majority of these names. I can't really knock any of them because they qualified. They winners and they qualified. That's what matters to me.
What about, does FAMU need a black woman as our head coach? Does this program need a black woman as our coach?
We need a winner. We had a black woman as the coach. I mean, and we didn't win. I'm just saying, man. So
you-
I just want a winner. It don't matter the race or the color for me. But I do want them to love FAMU and be all about FAMU when they're here. All right, they got to understand. I want them to be able to handle what everything means being a head coach at FAMU, because there's a lot that go with it now.
yes. Last thing here, maybe we'll kind of end our day with this. What does FAMU need to do to support whoever this next coach is? What do you think?
Well, I mean, one is find a way to start establishing a facility that the athletic programs can have access to 24/7.
Okay.
I can live with some of the things in terms of limited access for game stuff, but at the end of the day, if we want our teams to be championship caliber, they need their own facility, and then they can't be working around events and classes and all that kind of stuff. So I think that would be number one. And then we got to find a way to. We have a pretty decent crowd atmosphere on game day, but we got to get the numbers up, right? We got to find a way to, and that's, in my opinion, that's part of the coaching too requirement. The coaches got to, be successful and have kids that the community can relate to. So
Was the previous coach accessible to the community? I don't know.
I never saw her at I can't. The one thing I would say is I never heard saw that she was at a lot of high school games or junior college games. I'm not saying she was never there, but I just didn't see her visibly a lot out and about in the community.
Okay. No summer camps. Obviously
No camps.
No camps.
Not even working no camps. Even if you can't host, you can go and you can go work at a camp. So yeah.
I was just about to post Dr. Lurie. Oh my God. Well, I mean, she could have been about the opportunity of not having camps. I don't know, Doc.
Hey, we need Jesus.
See, Keith, you're wrong for that.
Yeah, you have to go there, Keith.
Yeah, come on. Jesus, really? Okay. Well, what do you guesstimate a timeline? Yeah, this is a tough one for you. You talked about the challenges earlier. What's the timeline looking like? It's July 7th. Students fall semester doesn't begin until about the 20-something of August. Can we have a new coach by the start of fall semester?
The timeline needs to be it needs to be within 14 days. Frankly,
of
now we've never done that. We need to have this done before the end of the month.
Okay, I like that.
Because the kids report in August.
Yeah,
and then the new person got to actually build a staff. They got to hire like 3 people. Then they got to learn their players and everything and get ready for the season. Practice starts in October, mid-October.
Preseason workouts start in September, probably. If not already should be happening.
So we can't afford for it to start in August. Now, with that said, I can only go on what historically how we've done things. Lord knows, I pray that we don't do a committee thing, because it might be December.
Who's gonna coach the team?
But you got to remember, Coach Pillow is only there to August, so I would imagine. Yeah. So I imagine the plan is to have somebody before August 1st, because that's all we have at this point. if I was a predicting person, I would say we probably won't have a coach named till August. And we may name them, and they might not be able to officially start for a couple of weeks or a month. If history is an indicator.
So the most important person right now might be Cole Forney or Forney. I don't know if it's Forney or Forney. He's the director of sports performance for football, men's basketball, and women's basketball. I got to imagine if you've got players that are in, I've got to imagine you're hopefully working with them on their preseason conditioning. I see other programs do that. I would hope that, I know the focus is football. I've seen the videos. I've seen the guys getting the weights in, and I've seen Cole in the videos. And if you go look at FAMU Athletics, you'll know who Cole is. You see him in the videos. I would hope that he's also working with or preparing a plan for men's basketball and women's basketball. Football can't work out all day in the weight room, so there's got to be time.
And there are other weight rooms that that he used. There's a weight room in Gaither Gym also, and we do have a Olympic sports person in Coach Houston also. So there's other resources to be able to do so. But I would tell you that the head coaches kind of drive the whole program or plan when it comes to workouts. So I don't know if that's happening at this point because our coach is leaving.
Yeah, definitely. Keith, you're kidding me here. I understand about the FAMU foolishness track, but there is no way in the world that we aren't going to have somebody. That's way too late. January is way too late.
No, I'm not. I mean, he's a jazz.
I'm
gonna speak for him. He's exaggerating on that one.
Yeah, I gotta be. He's gotta be.
But yeah.
This is what I don't want to hear. No. The longer it takes to hire, the lower the expectations should be. No. That's what y'all complained about. Y'all wanted a winner. Y'all wanted instant success.
No,
you weren't
nobody say that.
You weren't.
No. I would never be satisfied with 3 wins, Brian. Or 6 wins.
Okay,
out of 28, 30 games. No.
But don't lower the expectation then.
You can't go no lower.
You can.
No,
Valley's been there. Valley's been there.
No, you can't go no lower.
Yeah, you can go lower. We don't want to go lower. We want to go high, as Michelle Obama would say. We want to go high. They go low, we go high. But I don't want to hear none of that about lower expectations. No. Y'all wanted greatness right off the bat. All right, let's have it happen.
Stop exaggerating, man. We don't want greatness. We want competency, though. I mean, we want to be able to get a rebound. We want to be able to make a post pass to the post from a point guard. When you're wide open and you got a 3-pointer, you want to make at least 25, 30% of them. And then you want to be able to block out people so that, so you can get rebounds. You don't get out rebounded by 20, 30. You want to be able to know we're going to press, or we can play different kinds of ways based on the opponent to give our student athletes the best opportunity to win. We want competency. You got something to say about that?
I'm not going to say anything. I can't say. I'm not allowed to say anything. I don't want to trigger too many more people. I don't want y'all thinking I'm capping for her. So I'm gonna be quiet. I'm not gonna say anything. Competency, huh? Okay. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna remember that. Meredith says that they've been posting pictures of the team in the weight room. So okay, that's good to know. I'm assuming that's the women's team, hopefully, in the weight room. Okay. I got to get over to that app called Instagram. I'd be missing out on a lot of stuff on Instagram. All right. So anything else that you feel like anything else you want to add on this? We'll just I think this has been a good cathartic thing here. We've had a chance to get some things off our chest, to say what we said, to own it. I own whatever y'all want to throw at me, I own it. I said it. I stand by it. I'm moving forward. There it is. And I'll be excited to see who the next coach is. And I hope we get some info or get a chance to be a part of the process in terms of, like, when they get to the final candidates. I'd love to be able to hear who those candidates are. I think that would be one of those engaging things to keep the process, but we may not. Now that I think about it,
The most ideal situation in this search for me would be that they open up the process, they advertise it as until filled. That means if they got somebody in mind or got a good candidate, and they want to do it in 5 days versus going this whole committee process, they can do that. I want the AD to have as much flexibility as possible so that they can move as fast as possible. I don't really care about, be honest, about us being a part of the process or the whole having a committee. I'm not in, and we just don't have the time for that. There's a lot of good candidates out there who will be interested in this position. Identify what our process gonna be. Go with that process and leave the recommendation. I don't want to hear nothing about give the president 3 choices. The president shouldn't be hiring no damn basketball coach. All right. Yeah, I said it. I said what I said. He need to stay. He need to stay his butt right where he at and stay in his lane. Yeah, he stay in his lane. Let AD make her choice, and she gonna be held accountable for it.
Yes, amen. Look, we're gonna hold her accountable for just as much as we're gonna hold her accountable for other stuff. We're gonna hold her accountable for this too. But that's part of the job. That's what she wanted. Yeah. So this will be her first big hire. This and bowling, by the way. This will a bowling team that should be on a championship level track after their performance last year. So
very young team, a lot of returning players.
She's got to get that right as well. Okay, before we close out the show, just want to remind you guys, tonight is the HBCU Swingman Classic. That's going to be on MLB TV. Ty Jackson, Hunter Veets, Ty Hanchey, Jan Michael Bastardo, and Jalen Niles will all be a part of that classic.
Larry, stay your butt out of this now, Larry. Stay out of it. I ain't got the bill. I got the paddle. All right, and I will use it. You leave that AD alone, and you let her hire her person, and do it expeditiously. All right, go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
That's all right. The classic is it's a 10:30 p.m. Eastern start, 7:30 on the Pacific West Coast, where the game is being played in Seattle. So the top Division I HBCU baseball players will be playing. It should be good. It's on MLB. If you're staying up late tonight, hopefully you get a chance to watch it. I'm going to try my best. But again, MLB TV and NBA Summer League is going on. So maybe that'll help keep me up. I can watch Wimbyama, and what's the other kid? Brandon Miller. I think that's around 9 or 9:30. And then after that, I can transition over to the HBCU Swingman Classic. So I'm giving you guys a schedule of things to watch for tonight. So, all right, that's going to do it for our reaction to Coach Shalon Pillow's resignation. And we've thrown out some good names that we hope will become the next head women's basketball coach at Florida A&M.
Again, let me just say thank you, Coach Pillow, though, for coming to FAMU and giving your effort. All right, wish you the best in the future.
Well said. So that's going to do it. You guys have a good July. I don't know what it is. Just a normal July weekend. July 7th, a good July weekend. It's going to be hot. I'm sure a lot of parts of the country. Be safe. If you're going to the beach, be safe, be smart. Our next show will be on Wednesday, and we'll kind of give you guys a teaser, maybe early part of the week, about what that show will entail. And I think we've covered everything that we needed to cover. So let's get out of here. Let's go enjoy the rest of our Friday evening. For a reminder, make sure you hit that like button on your way out the door, wherever you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're following the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ONG StrikeZone. We are also on Threads. I created it. Those of you who jumped on Threads, you can find us on Threads as well. So at ONG Strike Zone is where you can find us. And then download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play and Apple App Store. Just search my JBN, my BCSN, and that's going to do it. So for Kelvin, I'm Bryan. Thank you to everybody who jumped in with us tonight, and we will see you later. Yeah, strike again. Where's the out button? Where's the out button? There we go. All right, peace out.